All week, all day, wait for the weekend. All work, no play, beats start to creep in. I need tonight to take it further. Get up, fly high, time travel for you. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, my fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, my fantasy. I don't feel the same. It's the time misplaced my name. There's a pleasure in my brain, in my veins, taking over me. Something sweet and strange. I'm a slave, now set the pace. Something in the vase, like the rain, taking over me. I'm in ecstasy. You're moving me, holding me, my fantasy. I'm in ecstasy. You're moving me, my fantasy.
Just want to have fun, you know?
All week, all day, wait for the weekend. All work, no play, beats start to creep in. I need tonight to take it further. Get up, fly high, time travel for you. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, my fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, my fantasy.
Hello everyone. Welcome to this member live stream. I'm Rob Jones, Produce Tech. You all know that probably. And this is Jafunk.
What's up, everybody?
Let's see. I haven't brought the chat out. Who we got in the chat? Hey, quite a few of you. Elemento, Hostile, Johnny, Flip, Paddy, Renegade 7, Tone, Magnus, Alf. What's up? Rimshot. Hey, there's loads of you. Joaquin, Simon, Jess. I think I got everyone. Alex. Yeah, hey everyone. So, yeah, I think most of you guys know why we're here. Just in case anyone doesn't happens to be watching, this is the results for our Produce Tech member remix comp that's been running for the last couple of months, where our members, so subscribers on the site, can remix a track. In this case, one by Jafunk. I'm trying to work out which way my camera's going. Yeah, really good track called Ecstasy that we had the pleasure of working with. So thanks for that, man. Really, really cool.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was fun to do this.
Yeah, so I think we should just probably get straight to it, shouldn't we? And then we can always have a chat at the end about other bits. But I know a lot of you are going to be eagerly awaiting. And yeah, we've had a lot of fun listening to the tracks. The quality has been amazing, which obviously is great, but it makes the judging really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get onto the prizes and all that stuff later on as well. But for now, let's just get straight into listening to the tracks. So, just like most of our remix comps, we got 10 shortlisted tracks. This time we're just going to play a little excerpt from each one rather than the whole thing. I'm going to do it in Ableton this time. So, number one is, so I'm trying to work out where all my bits are. Here we go. Number one is Bergwall. So, just a little glimpse of the profile page here, Bergwall. So this is our producer community site. Everyone has their own profile in there, and this is where we host all our stuff, all our activities, remix comps, bonus tutorials, etc. And that's where the forum is, and that's where this whole remix comps has been hosted. So Bergwall, all the way from Sweden. Let's check out your remix. Hopefully it's going to come through. Such a groove, that one. Just right from the opening, isn't it? Just that really sick funk groove to open. Plus it has a really interesting kind of live feel at the start, doesn't it, with the countdown? And obviously you didn't hear that just then, but what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I really love this remix. I love the kind of, just like straight away, it really stood out, and it was unique in the fact of just the harmony that it used and that kind of like almost suspended, like jazzy chord type of feeling. So I thought that was one point for uniqueness. And then like the acoustic drums mixed with the live drums. There was some sax samples and brass stuff that came in later in the track, which I don't think we probably heard there, but they were really nice, and it was just like a really, well engineered, well balanced elements. It's just like a sexy track overall, basically.
Yeah, I was a big fan. I am a big fan. If I had to get super critical about it, I felt like the mix was quite gentle, which was nice because it made it very clean, and it certainly did pick up at certain points where like the beat would just step up a notch and stuff. But for me, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit punchier, I suppose. And the other thing was that the arrangement was a little bit loopy in places, a little bit kind of a little bit repetitive. And maybe that's just because the track was quite long. But despite the fact that it was long, though, the interest was held very well, and the arrangement had its detail. It was just a little bit more subtle, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. Actually, I wrote in my notes here that that was my only criticism, was the slightly loopy nature to the track. Mm-hmm. Again, some genres in themselves can be like that anyway, but maybe a slightly longer loop would have broken that up a bit more. But yeah, overall it was groovy. It was fun. I think it was a really cool remix.
Yeah, I agree. Really, really great remix to kick things off as well. So great job, Bergwall. So to the scores, as always, we've done things in 5 categories. Marks out of 10: overall quality, originality, musicality, arrangement, and fidelity, faithfulness to the original. And so scores out of 50. I scored 39 for that. What was yours?
Nice. And then my score was 36.5 out of 50. And nice. I'll also preface that by saying that I think on average all of my scores were slightly lower than Rob's, just on average. So don't be disheartened if mine's quite a bit lower than Rob's, but most of mine were very clustered in that range. I'm also going to post on the forum later the more detailed notes that I had for each section, like the originality, musicality, arrangement, mixing, and all that kind of stuff. I'll post that in the forum later. But yeah, that was my score, 36.5.
Really, really nice. Yeah, so that gives the combined total of 75.5. A great score. So let's move on now to our second one, which this time is Renegade 7. So yeah, really nice profile page, by the way. Shout out to Renegade 7. Very nice styling. Really loving the funky neon colors, and a nice little graphic as well for the remix, which is always good. Okay, let's check it out.
All week, all day, wait for the weekend. All work, no play, these start to creep in. I need tonight to take it further. Get up, fly high, time travel for you. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, my fantasy.
Very nice. So I like the kind of sonic character of this one and the overall vibe. I think the mix is nice and clean again. It's got a sort of retro but fresh kind of sound. Nice chunky bottom end. Generally the arrangement's interesting as well. Nice details. I think my lowest scores for this one were the kind of musicality of the drop, which I tried to like work out what it was. It can get very deep, can't it, with the judging process of trying to actually figure out what it is specifically that isn't really getting you or something. And I thought it was the combination of the static bass line with the sort of shifting chords, which didn't, to my ears, didn't create the best combination. It's perfectly acceptable, but it didn't like engage me, if you know what I mean. Whereas even on the breakdowns where the chord sequence would mix up, I found that to be a little bit more of a hook, if you know what I mean. But yeah, loads of good points about the track.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I love this remix as well. Great vibe with that clav kind of synth that it starts with. And then there's also this really nice guitar that came in later in the track, which I thought was super funky and added a great vibe. There were some cool vocal chops as well. Bass was funky. The drums had a good groove. I thought my criticism for this one was that I thought there could be a little bit more sort of sparkle and like air on the top end. I felt this one got a little bit too MIDI and muddy sometimes in terms of the mix. And that also could have been to do with the fact there were so many elements in that sort of lower mid-range, like you got the chord, you got a few different synths in that same sort of, like chordal area where you'd have pads and stuff like that.
Or in the middle, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought maybe you could have spaced them out a little bit more so they've all got their own place. And you can do that just by, if you're playing a chord down in the octave here, the melody you can play up a little bit higher. So it's just got its own space on the piano roll. And in turn, like the frequency spectrum as well. So yeah, that was my main criticism on that. And I would have liked to hear more of that guitar because I thought that was a really cool element.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, overall I loved it.
Yeah, it's a real great tip, that as well, the spacing out of parts, because not only does it help improve the mix as you separate things in that way, but it's also going to change the harmony as well as the notes move around. That could completely change the feel of it.
Totally. Yeah, that's something that I've tried to do a lot more lately is like break up, if I'm playing a minor 9 chord, which has got 5 notes, I'll play the top 2 notes in a guitar, maybe the middle 2 in a Rhodes and the bass note in the bass instrument, and splitting one chord across various instruments can just, then you don't have to EQ anything because it's all just in its own place already.
Yeah, exactly. All right, nice. So good job, Renegade 7. My score for this one is 34 out of 50.
Nice. Mine was 33 and a half. So we were pretty close on that one.
Yeah, closer. So that's 67 and a half overall. Another great remix. Let's move on to number 3. This one is Jez Harris. Again, nice little profile page, Jez, liking that. Is this one of the? I think this is one of the official bits of artwork for the remix. Maybe a few people used it. So for the track, I mean, although I'm not sure.
Is that the purple and blue thing?
No, that's the official one, isn't it? But there's like 2 faces with like tiles.
Yeah. Oh, 2 faces with tiles. That's Chris. That's Fabisha's album artwork.
Okay, so it's Fabish reference. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, nice. All right, let's check out Jez's kind of new disco or straight up disco remix. Let's give it a listen. Really nice. Great job, Jez. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this one. Yeah, it's just like from the intro right away, which we didn't hear there, but there's that chord which really sets the mood, almost immediately. So, and I think that's one thing that I've found with tracks that I really love is that they just grab you instantly, and you get the feeling, that it's going to be good on pretty much straight away. So I love that. I love, soulful vibe overall. Like, I think he's actually chopped up the piano sample there from the stems, which was cool. I like that sort of originality of, using the stem and chopping it up in your own way. Percussive drums were cool. Wide disco claps with lots of reverb. That's like a classic thing that I do as well. And it just like, I love it. And then, that bass line was super funky, like dry. It really drives the track and drives the groove. I could definitely see that like working in a club.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how it sort of just keeps that vibe throughout the song and builds really nicely. I felt it was very, not overcooked with, effects and build up elements and stuff like that. It was just like a really smooth progression and really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a huge fan of this one. I would definitely play it out. I really like the way the harmony sort of mixed up in certain places, because it came in, I think it was in the intro or in one part, it was on a kind of 5th. I think I included that in the excerpt actually just then, but kind of starts off on the 5th, which is a harmony quite a few people went for on their remixes, which creates a sort of, not an edginess to it, but a feeling like it does sort of want to resolve to the one. But anyway, this track does exactly that. So it starts off on the 5th and then slams it into the tonic for the drop, and then has that really kind of cool ascending bass, which I really liked. So that really got me. And I don't really have any criticisms, really. I think it's really well done.
Yeah, nice. My only criticism here was in the sort of like in the originality department, where like I've kind of heard a bunch of these funky house disco style tracks before, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing if it sounds like something else, but just in terms of it standing out, like I think of someone like, it reminded me a bit of Purple Disco Machine, for example, that kind of style where it's super funky but also dancey and like playable in a club. But the reason why his stuff, really pops is because like the mixes are just impeccable. everything's, you know, just sounding super, super crisp and tight. And I think if this mix, like you really got to make the mix pop and shine. If you're not doing something, you know, vastly unique with just the style and the genre in general. So yeah, keep going and keep those mixes, keep working on the mixes, and I'm sure it'll get to that level at some point.
Great advice. So so my score then for this one works out at 41.5. Very
Nice.
respectable. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's I rated this one as 35. Which it feels kind of low, but going back through my notes right now, it was mainly the originality and the arrangement where it lost a few points, but the vibe overall was really awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, like Jafunk said, his scores are all quite a bit lower than mine. So although that seems harsh compared to all the other scores you've given, that's still, you know, quite a high one.
Exactly. Like my without spoiling it, my top one was 38.5. So
yeah,
there was, you know, there's not much off the top score there.
Yeah, so that combines to a very respectable 76.5.
Nice.
Very good job, Jez. Well done. So let's move on now to number 4, which is Figo. Cool. So let's check out Figo's remix.
I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, on fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, on fantasy.
Nice. Good job, Figo. So another really decent remix, fresh sound, kind of modern, more modern style. Nicely mixed. Overall quality, I thought was great. For me, the kind of lowest scoring areas are sort of in relation to the vibe of the original track and the kind of new setting. It kind of all goes. It doesn't sound like it's out of tune or there's anything clashing massively, but I just didn't get the mesh as well as on some of the other remixes. Like it didn't slot together quite as well, I thought. Again, it's quite a hard thing to define why exactly. Sometimes it's a harmony thing, sometimes it's kind of a character thing. But sometimes it can make it sound a little bit more like a transplant than a sort of proper fusion, if you know what I mean. But did you find that at all with this one? Or
in a little way, like it was, you know, the original track's quite light in terms of the feeling and the genre anyway. Like it's kind of a happy tune, but maybe this one was a little bit even too far on that light side for again, this is just my taste, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but it was maybe too playful, if such a thing exists. It didn't quite match as well as some of the other ones, just like Rob said, so I would agree there. Like in my notes here, I wrote that it was, you know, a light and fun vibe overall. Kind of brings definitely your own flavor to the table, which is obviously what you want when you're doing a remix. And then I also liked at the end, which we didn't hear there, you incorporated the laughing samples, which was something that like a few people did, but Figo really brought them out to the front, and that was something different, which I didn't hear. So that, you know, made the track extra fun. I guess Figo's just a fun, light guy in general. if I could draw anything from listening to that track, but my criticism here was that it was a touch too busy. Particularly in the drop, there was a lot of elements going on, and when you got a lot of different things happening at the same time, it doesn't allow each individual element to shine and to have its place. And I feel like if you cut back a little bit on the elements that you were using and made sure that the ones that are there were really strong and stand out, and then it gives the listener something a little bit more clear to latch onto, rather than having lots of different things in there. And it's still like a really fun vibe overall, but I couldn't pick one thing that was really hooky and stood out. So that would be my main criticism for that one.
Yeah, and yeah, saying that it could be almost too jolly, that definitely is a harmony thing, or can be, because if you make it in the original was in a minor key, right? It was E minor or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and or if it was a major key, no, I'm pretty sure it was a minor key.
I think E minor 9 was the first chord. So
yeah. So, and as soon as you start to add these jazzy intervals, it changes the feel massively. As soon as you get these cool kind of overtones, then it breaks quite far out of the feeling of a major, just straight up major scale kind of environment. So without going into too many details though, let's another great remix. And my score is 39 out of 50.
Nice. My one was 33.5.
Yeah, which comes out again respectable 72.5. Good job, Figo. So let's check out number 5 now, which is, I've been calling it Cess, but it is actually let's change the tab. Cess Music. It is actually a partnership, Cess and Edwick John. Cess Music. Let's check it out.
I'm in ecstasy. You're moving me.
Lovely stuff.
Big.
Yeah. What did you think?
Yeah, I love this one. This was definitely one of my favorites. Like just genre-wise and style-wise, synth chords. I really got a good feeling from those when they synth chords. I really got a good feeling from those when they came in. Just it's one of those ones where you just kind of feel it, like, yep, this is, this is really nice. And then the other thing which I liked here were, at the end as well, there was this really nice kind of synth. It sort of strips back to just the drums, the bass, and then this other synth chord, which I thought was cool. And I love that evolution of, there's sort of no two parts are exactly the same in the track. Like it's evolving the whole way through, and it keeps you engaged right until the last second. So I thought, that was really, really good. And then the other, my only one criticism for this one was that, like I've heard that kind of minor 9 chord sort of pattern played, loads, where it's sort of one minor 9 chord pitched around. I thought maybe if you guys could include some different voicings and different, just some different types of chords into your music, it'll really give you some new colors. Like throwing some major chords, maybe some dominant chords, and altered chords and stuff like this. It would really sort of take the color that you can express and the emotions that you can express to the next level. But all in all, I thought it was very solid.
This kind of sound has probably got an expiration date, hasn't it, at some stage? I can feel some people starting to react like in a way that, oh, it's been around for a while since sort of deep house started, or deep funky house started going in that direction quite some time ago. But so yeah, originality was my lowest score, but in all other senses, it's very high scores. I really thought the vibe was awesome and maintained nicely from the original. I think the arrangement was excellent. Obviously, from that excerpt, you only get a tiny taste of it, but the whole thing is very well put together. Nice variation. Just a lot of praise for this one. Another one I would definitely play out. So
for sure.
So yeah, well done, Cess Music. My score out of 50 is a very high 46.5.
Nice. That's pretty good. Mine's 38.5 out of 50.
Pretty good scores. Pretty good scores. That combines to 85. Yeah, very respectable. Yeah. Great job, Cess Music. So, okay, we're over halfway through now. Let's move on to number 6, which is, I believe it's Half Monster. Yep, there we go. Let's check out Half Monster's remix. There you go.
I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, on fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, on fantasy.
Okay, good job, Half Monster. Who wants to start? Shall I start? Yeah, it's not so this one, it's a very kind of big mainstream sound. I think it's well executed. Again, it's very mainstream for my tastes, and this is where we get into the tricky kind of part where you have to put your own, opinions or personal tastes and preferences kind of aside, so you can really evaluate it clearly in a neutral way. So that's what I've been doing with this one, and there's a lot of good things to say about it. Overall quality, I've marked up. Arrangement, I think, was my highest score. Yeah, arrangement, nicely laid out. Everything working well together. My lowest scores were on the fidelity to the original, again, where it could again have sort of been a separate track where the vocal has been sort of laid onto it afterwards almost. Certainly for the main drop, and the harmony is really interesting in a way, but in another way it's following a cycle of fifths. I noticed, the second time I listened to it and actually paid attention to the chords, and it's Pachelbel's canon basically, or if we want to go back to, like, do you know Pachelbel's canon?
No, what's that? Oh, that
classic.
That one.
It's a classic example of like a classical music cycle of fifths, and circle of fifths, whichever you want to call that. And since then, there have been lots of pop songs and all sorts that have used that same kind of sequence. But so yeah, and it was sort of pulling me in two directions in that kind of a sense, which is one of the things I found tricky, whilst at the same time kind of appreciating the mix that it created with those two things being combined. Yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty similar to yours, I guess, in that I thought that, it was a fun track, like fun, upbeat energy the whole way through. I thought it was mixed quite well. The drums were punchy. The bass was like locking in with that kick and drums in general. Sorry, 1 second. I might sneeze. No, I'm good. My bad. And yeah, I thought it was quite a well balanced mix. Like everything had its own space. So in that sense, it was quite nice. But my sort of criticisms would echo what Rob was saying, where the harmony for me was something that I've heard quite a lot. You know, that sort of triad. I think you probably nailed a cycle of fifths type of thing. Where it's just a chord progression I've heard, you know, many times, and I know what to expect. And when I'm listening to something, I like to have both that combination of, you know, familiarity, but then also a bit of spice where it's going to surprise me a little bit and maybe catch me off guard with some, you know, a chord, just an interesting type of chord. So I'd maybe recommend experimenting with some 7th and 9th chords and some other types of tones and colors to sort of expand your palette a little bit. And as I was saying on the other one, it really, when you have those kind of tools at your disposal, it allows what you can say in a musical sense to be a lot more interesting. So that was my main criticism. And yeah, originality was another area which I didn't score too high, just in the fact that I've heard a lot of tracks like that before. So I couldn't score it too high on that one. But in the execution of what it was in that type of style, I think it was done quite well. So again, please take my advice with a grain of salt. And if this is, you know, what you love to do, then you nailed it pretty well. So well done.
Yeah, I agree. So without further ado, my score is 33 out of 50 for that one.
So mine was 31 out of 50.
Cool, which makes 64. So good job, Half Monster. And let's move on now to number 7, which is, I believe, Connor. Yes.
Connor.
Connor, all the way from Devon in the UK. All right, let's check out Connor's Tech House Carnival remix.
I'm in ecstasy. You're moving me, holding me, my fantasy. I'm in ecstasy. You're moving me, my fantasy.
Nicely done. It kind of sent me a message actually after doing Simon Shackleton's, I think it was Simon Shackleton's Essential Beats Production course, part 1, and you can really hear like his Simon Shackleton's kind of beat production mastery kind of being filtered down into Connor's stuff now. It's just
nice,
solid beats, and as soon as I heard that drop, I was like, yes.
Yeah,
nice fat
totally
drop. Yeah. What did you think?
Yeah, I agreed. Like that was just such a fun. It was quite surprising almost, because, you know, the build up has, you know, like the guitar from the original, and I think some of the claps from the original too, and then the vocal. And then that drop, it's quite surprising, and it wasn't expected. So that was quite refreshing to hear. And yeah, like the drums just groove and they hit really hard too. It sounds like it's been well mixed, and you chose great samples. So I was, like when I was listening to it last night, I was definitely bouncing around in my chair a bit. Made a few stank faces here and there. So it was super fun. I also saw on his profile that he's only been making music since the start of 2021. So for like only 2 years in the game, that's a very impressive sort of progression to there. And then, the thing I really liked about this one was how this probably comes under the fidelity to the original. You know, I think I might have even said this in one of the streams, but when we made Ecstasy originally, we put up this like Brazilian carnival video, and we were trying to capture that vibe of, you know, those carnivals in Brazil where they've got the huge parades and drums in the streets and stuff like that. And I love how he kind of, respected that and used those quite heavy percussive drums in the drop.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really nice attention to the vibe there. And and it was also one of my criticisms on the other songs were that there was too many elements, but I feel like this one did well in that it kept it simple. Like the drop is just sort of a rolling tech house bass line and then some heavy percussive drums. And so, yeah, the kind of feeling and just the boldness of that idea really cuts through, and it's really nice. It wasn't confusing with too many elements or get muddy or anything like that. So it was straight to the point, which I really liked.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, it was minimal, simplistic, but put together really well. Great ideas, nothing confusing about it. And the mix was good. Compared to some of the others, it was a little lower in sort of level. I don't know if you did any mastering at all. See, the thing is with some of these remixes, they've been seemingly actually properly mastered. Some of them sound, right up there. So if this was just a sort of mix with a 3 or 6 dB of headroom or something that was exported out, suddenly it's a bit of a drop down. But it doesn't matter. We try and take into account, well, I do anyway, the sort of mix down and appreciate that it could be mastered. After. Anyway, yeah, good job, Connor. And my scores worked out at in total 34.5 out of 50.
Nice. Mine was 36. I think the main area where this one lost points for me was just in the musicality department, because tech house, there's not much complex music going on, which it's a bit annoying because I wouldn't really score many tech house tracks high in musicality at all, but it is what it is. I had to pick on something, and that was the department that I felt it lacked a little bit in, but everything else was great.
Yeah, that's the tricky part with some of these categories, and the way they work with certain genres, unfortunately. But good job. That works out at 70.5 in total, so very good score. All right, down to the last 3 now. So let's move on to number 8, which is switching scenes. This one is Philippe Serveau. And it's time for a bit of garage. Let's check it out.
I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, my fantasy.
Nice. So I completely love it. I'm a big garage fan, so I think it's a really good choice of genre. It's fun. It works. Are you doing your emails, Jeff?
So no, I was just writing some more notes down on on this one.
Okay. No worries. I think it really works well with the melodic content. Garage is sort of something that can sound sort of fun, a little bit kind of rude. It just works well in this context. I felt still allows for a decent quality kind of drop. I thought the job of merging the stems with the new style was good. Again, a less experimental harmony can pay off. It does make it not wildly original, but Yeah, but I thought the track was very well done.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. It was, yeah, I love that UK funky feel, punchy drums. You know, the chords were cool. They had that kind of jazzy vibe as well, but your own thing that was different to what we had in the original. And there was also these cool reverse samples that came in. I'm not sure if they were in that little preview just now, but yeah, there was these cool sort of reverse synths and things which I really enjoyed. That sounded quite unique. And then, yeah, all the elements had their own space. Like, you know, the bass is down low, those chords are in the middle, vocals up top. You know, it was well executed. So I thought overall it was just really clean. And kind of like Rob said too, when you do these remix comps, you can often sort of have too many tracks that are four to the floor or too many housey tracks. So to do something that's different, like this one, you know, with that kind of two-step groove rather than the, you know, just four to the floor thing, can really make you stand out. And so in terms of originality, I thought this one was quite great. And then my one criticism for this one was that I thought some of the sound choices could have been slightly better. Like there wasn't anything really wrong with them, I would say. Like they all fit and they all work. But if you had maybe slightly more expensive or like classy sounding synths and maybe a bit of a darker bass line, it could have had a bit of a cooler and yeah, a bit of a cooler kind of feeling to it. But again, maybe that's just my personal preference. But that was my thought when I was listening to it.
Awesome. So let's get to the score. My score is 39.5 out of 50.
So mine was 33 out of 50.
Which combines to 72.5. Good job, Philippe. So let's get to the penultimate remix, which is by someone who's appeared in our shortlisted, you know, our finalists quite a few times. It's
okay.
Alf Martin. Yeah, been in the top 3 as well before. So yeah, Alf Martin all the way from Argentina. Let's check out this remix.
I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, my fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, my fantasy.
Nice. What did you think?
Yeah, love this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Like I love the slower tempo. Again, something that can really transform you know, if you can transform the original into something totally different and still make it work, I think that's a really, you know, cool thing to do. Like one of the best remixes that comes to mind for me is like the You and Me, like the Flume remix, and how it kind of got changed from that, you know, Disclosure's like original garagey kind of two-step feeling into that, you know, that Flume style with the sort of halftime groove. You know, it's quite a big change, but if you can pull it off, it can be really cool. And I think Alba's done it with this one. Like he's really slowed the tempo down and sort of, yeah, just added a fresh remix here. So I like the musicality. I thought it was really creative and cool with all the different sections. Like it was almost like having 3 tracks in one. Like there was those super chilled, just like smooth chords at the beginning, and then it evolves into that funkier groove at the drop. And then there was a whole nother section at the end, which I don't think we heard there, but it's got like this Brazilian carnival energy again with those percussive kind of like bongos and drums and everything. So that was, it was super interesting and engaging the whole way through to listen to. Mm-hmm. But my criticism for this one was kind of on that as well, in that I thought for me it was a bit too much all in one. And like sometimes it can really work if the sections blend together really nicely. But for me, I felt like just the transitions could have been a bit smoother and more cohesive. And as a result, it kind of took me out of the vibe of the track a little bit when the sections changed, rather than, you know, it feeling organic and natural during the transition. So that was my criticism. But otherwise, yeah, super fun remix. I really enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah. This is one where our scores are quite different. I mean, musicality, I think we both agree on, is incredibly high. There's a lot of parts in there and they're all working really well. This really is an excellent job on that front. Originality as well. Just the way it's put together. The arrangement's excellent. It's faithful to the original whilst also being original itself. You know, there's a lot of good things to say about it. I didn't notice any kind of jarring, jump from the first part into the sort of main body of the track. Obviously, it does something completely different at the end. It just goes, the whole tempo changes. You got to check it out if you haven't heard it yet. If you remember, then check it out on the community site on Alf's profile page. Otherwise, I'm actually going to be doing a playlist on our SoundCloud page after this, so you can all check it out there as well. But yeah, it steps up in tempo and goes nuts with sort of foro, I guess, Brazilian foro, or like capoeira even style drums. It reminded me of my capoeira days. I used to play capoeira, so so I'm very used to the parties would always go in that direction at some stage. It'd be like a crazy frenzy. So yeah, but I didn't get any kind of jarring thing there. It all worked quite well. I thought the overall quality could have stepped up a notch though, especially compared to some of the others, because the standard's been so incredibly high. So yeah, probably having a bit more simplicity would have made the mix easier to nail. You know, as you've said a few times already, Jafunk, we're just focusing on the slightly fewer parts and really refining the sounds of them will take the mix up a notch. And there's just a lot going on here. But yeah, great job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would kind of just say as well, like, you know, I hope like no one gets too disheartened if my score's been low, or, you know, my comments you haven't agreed with. Like, of course, if you think I'm talking shit, feel free to ignore everything that I say, and don't let anyone, including me, stop you from doing what you love doing. So I just wanted to say that as well. But yeah, super fun remix, and it was a really enjoyable listen. And I gave this one 34.5 out of 50.
Yeah, and I gave it 45.
Nice.
So a bit of separation there, but that combines to a total of 79.5. So a very good score. Well done, Alf. Let's move on to the last remix. We're going to mix things up here. This last one is by DJ No, believes. Check out the last page here. Nice profile page again. DJ No, shouts to you for that. It's called the No Praise Mix. I like that too. So yeah, let's check it out.
I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, holding me, on fantasy. I'm in ecstasy, you're moving me, on fantasy.
funny with music, isn't it? You really do notice more and more every time.
For
And
sure.
I've got to be honest about this one. And this is, as you were saying, um, because, you know, when you have a lot of tracks in a sort of similar style, it can be hard for one to particularly stand out. And we did have quite a lot of house remixes and quite a lot of good house remixes. So when I first heard this was sort of in a pool of 4 or 5 tracks that I almost couldn't sort of pick apart, because of, you know, the similar kind of production of all of them. But then after like really kind of listening to them, this one stood out, and it's just grown on me more and more, and I've appreciated it more and more. And I think it's a really, really good track.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I was almost the same. Like it didn't massively grab me from the start, but every time, you know, as I was trying to choose my favorites and, you know, do the scoring, this one kept coming back. And I think that's the mark of a good track, when, you know, you listen to it over and over again and it gets better with each listen rather than worse. So yeah, this was super cool. It was groovy. Love those jazzy Rhodes chords. I'm just like a sucker for those. And also like the way you incorporated the stems in a unique way. You know, there was sax and brass samples there, which I don't know if we heard, and it was engineered well, balanced the elements really well. There was like even a talk box in there at some point. And yeah, just the overall vibe and feeling was great. And this was like, I was speaking to Fabish earlier as well, and this was one of his favorite ones as well, just in terms of like the vibe. Could see ourselves playing it out in the club. And yeah, I also like that, you know, he found another sample that said ecstasy, and I thought that was quite cool. I'm not sure how he did that. If maybe he just typed in ecstasy and tried to find something, but I thought that was something unique that caught my ear. So yeah, really love this one overall. It was tight.
Yeah, wicked. So yeah, there's not much more I could add to that really. I think it's very well done, and I would absolutely play this one out as well. Could see it going down massively. So yeah, so my score for this one is 42.5 out of 50.
Yeah, and mine was 37 out of 50. And the only place where this one really lost a few points was in the originality section, in that I've heard, you know, quite a few of these jazzy house style songs before, so it wasn't overly unique just in terms of genre, but really executed well, which is why it scored well in other places like arrangement, musicality, overall quality.
Yeah.
So yeah, 37 out of 50 for me.
Yeah. So that works out at, drumroll, 79.5, which was exactly the same as Alv's score, which, if you've been keeping count, means we have a tie for second and third place. So yeah, well done, you guys. And yeah, again, if you've been keeping count, then you will have noticed who the winner was. If not, then again, drum roll. My dog's providing the drum roll on the door, trying to get it. Yeah, first place is Cess Music. So
and Edwick John.
Exactly, Cess and Edwick John. Yeah, good job, guys. It's really it's a really, really great track. We're sending the tracks to Unity. Oh, he's getting really keen now. Really wants to come in.
We're going to send them to my label, and I'm also going to send them around to Fabish, Pastel, and Bambi, just to get their thoughts on what we'll do, what the next steps will be. But yeah, we'll be in touch for sure about what's going to happen in terms of releases and putting the remixes out and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just wanted to say as well, just a massive thank you to everyone who did a remix and took the time to, you know, to give the track a different spin. Means a lot. And yeah, really, it was a lot of fun. Like I did a remix competition for for another EP of mine as well, Weekend Love, which was a lot of fun, and this one was great too. Like I'm just always surprised at the, you know, the level and the quality of the remixes that, you know, that come from these competitions. So it's awesome to see, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting us use the stems, and yeah, it's made the whole comp much more pleasurable. It always does to work with great music, and I've really enjoyed listening to these remixes. So well done to everyone. If you didn't make it, then bear in mind there's always, you know, quite a big handful of tracks that don't quite make it to the top 10. It's really hard getting it to 10.
Yeah, that
So
was I don't think one of mine. I was saying to Rob before that my scores were, you know, they were all kind of clustered in that between 30 and sort of 40, and it was mainly because my, like, you know, like I listen to a lot of music, and so for something to, you know, get a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, it's got to be really, you know, like unbelievable professional kind of stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, but they were all, like, you know, within that realm anyway for me of being, you know, professional sounding and just quality and solid tracks overall.
yeah, yeah. So well done, everyone. It's a good testament to the community, I'm pleased to say. So yeah, so the winners obviously will be in touch about possible releases potentially, and the other prizes, Cess music, you're going to be getting your hands on the Korg Minilogue, which is the top hardware prize, and the Eventide software bundle, really tasty plugs, and Produce Tech annual membership, and I believe it's Loop Cloud. I forget what the Loop Cloud prize is for this one. Something awesome on the Loop Cloud side as well. And yeah, and we'll be in touch with you guys, Alv and DJ No, as well, about the runners-up prizes. Again, Eventide plugs, Loop Cloud goodies, Produce Tech goodies. So yeah, next remix comp will be hot on the heels of this one. I'd imagine might be by Christmas. If not, it'll be the very start of next year. I'm already talking to a few interesting artists, so we got some cool stuff to come as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks again. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed taking part in the comp. And we'll see you on the forum. And yeah, we'll post our results on the forum.
Yeah, I'm going to also post my longer notes. I wrote out a bunch of notes for each section for the top 10, so I'll post those in the forum as well if you want to read my notes. And
amazing.
yeah, as I said before too, don't you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Don't let my criticism, I hope it anyway, at least you can take it in a constructive way, and you know, learn from that and build on that and keep improving, because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, nice. So with that said, we will say farewell. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks to you again, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. And we'll see you all soon.
Sounds good.